If you're ready, just introduce yourself and.
All right. My name is Art from Go Measure 3D, and today I want to show you the Artec Leo 3D scanner. This is a structured light scanner. It is something that is a package I've never have seen before, probably. It's not tethered to a computer. It's got a computer built into it. It's got a very large battery built in that you can remove, so you can scan all day. It's got 500 gigabytes of memory, and it can allow you to scan anything from a small object to a car. This is a structured light scanner, and basically the way the technology works is that it has a camera and a projector. The projector will project a pattern of light. If you imagine standing in front of a movie screen, that image is distorted over your face. And so when the scanner looks at that distorted pattern, it's able to calculate precisely 3D distance. And so these points that it captures in every single frame, it combines and it reconstructs an accurate model, a 3D model. So with Artec scanners, they're very expensive, and that's because they're accurate down to a fraction of a millimeter, so a tenth of a millimeter for the Leo in accuracy and resolution. So resolution, we talk about the distance between those points. So you can get a really, really dense point cloud, which you can triangulate into a mesh, make it watertight, 3D print it, do whatever you'd like. So I want to show you how the scanner works. The scanner itself comes in a hard case, like this. So it's safe to travel with. I take it on the plane all the time. You don't need a computer to scan. You do need a computer to get a mesh, that is, if you want to 3D print something. But if you're going on site to scan something, you'll be able to see it on the back of your screen. You can also upload it to your coworkers over Wi-Fi. So this scanner can send that project with a hotspot on your phone or with any Wi-Fi connection or even a wired connection. There's an Ethernet port here to someone back at the office that can quickly process that file and get you a model. So when you first pick up the scanner, there is a power button on the back of it. You turn that on and you get a list of all your projects. So you start a new project and it will flash a light. This flash is actually just for color capture. So it's taking color information, and that color information allows you to recreate a texture. So you can not only get a 3D model that you can make a casting of, but if you'd like to upload the model to a website, it actually has that color information. So the texture that is wrapped around the geometry. The actual structured light is infrared. And so you can see, I'll show you here on my laptop, what the scanner is seeing. So I've got this object right here, this wooden carving, and the scanner is giving me a preview of what it's seeing and in the live frame. If I start recording, so I'm going to actually use an exclude background option. What it'll do is it'll recognize that there's a table here and it'll crop it out. So I'll turn that on. It says ready to scan for me, and now I can start scanning my object. When you scan an object, your job is to point the scanner at every surface. So obviously behind what the scanner is projecting on, I can't quite see. That means I've got to walk around here and scan it from this angle. You can see it on the screen there.
Now, in an instance where you can't get to the back of something, are you able to, if you know that the back is the same as the front, are you able to transfer the image from the front to the back?
You can manipulate meshes in any way you'd like,
Okay.
But we can actually capture this multiple times. You can see on my screen right here, also on my laptop, I can zoom in and look at my object. If I spin it around, the back is missing because it's on the table. All I have to do is flip this object over, hit record again, and the software will actually lock onto what it's seeing and what it's got in its memory, and it's not going to create a separate scan. It's going to continue scanning that same
So it knows, it recognizes what it's already seen.
Yep.
And then feeds what it hasn't seen and fills in the voids.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, so you can now see that the back of that object, I'm starting to fill it in, and also all the little areas that were Maybe I didn't lower the scanner down here enough to get around some of the cracks in that object. So I'm able to actually,
Now, are the red spaces the empty spaces?
those are the gaps. Those are the backside of a face. So every face that it captures, it has a normal. So it has the outside and the inside part of a face. So the inside is just colored red, and you can see that through the other gaps in the opening. So yeah, so you can see right here, there are a couple gaps. So because I flipped the object over one way, I'll do it again here just to get the last bit of it. Hit record.
And that's Bluetoothing it directly to your laptop now.
No, this is on the Wi-Fi, but it's just a demo mode. So this is to show you what the scanner is seeing. You do not need the laptop. It is not actually transferring the scan data or anything. It's just simply projecting what the scanner is seeing so that you all can get a better idea. But so 3 scans in 3 different orientations. If I wasn't talking so much, it would just take me a minute to scan this.
Mm-hmm.
So scanning is quite the easy part. You can see on here, I can pinch in and rotate this object. This is, of course, the rough preview. At this point, we would save the project, either upload it to the cloud. There's a product called Artec Cloud that allows you to run this processing online. So you wouldn't need a laptop. You could just log in with a tablet and download the model. Or I would transfer it to my laptop, which is what I'm going to do here, and then show you how processing works that way.
The next question I have is, how heavy is it? And is it awkward? Is it off balance?
It's well balanced because it has a heavy battery. It's not light because it's got a lot of optics in it and a heavy battery, but it is well balanced, and you can hold it later and see for yourself. But if it's too heavy, you can take the battery out and run it off of power. So I've got a charger here that charges the scanner, but I can also pull the battery out and just purely scan with it plugged into power. And that takes a lot of the weight away. So with my projects here, it's saved. This one was a quick scan. I didn't run it in the high definition mode. So there's 2 modes. I can scan objects in HD mode and standard mode. This is actually 400 megabytes, this project, so this is quick to import. I'll go to my software. The software is called Artec Studio. Artec Studio is proprietary software from Artec that takes those frames. You'll see this is my project. Now on my computer here, I can go and click import from Leo, and because both are on the same Wi-Fi network, it shows up for me here. And then it'll give me a list of my projects. Now the fastest connection is a wired connection. If I get an Ethernet cable, plug it in here, plug it into my laptop, connect it that way, but I'll just do this wirelessly. Hit import. Again, you could just turn off the scanner, put it in your case, go home, and then do this later. You could also, before you put it away, upload it with a hotspot online and then start that processing online. One of the big things about 3D scanning is that objects have to be unchanging. So when you're scanning something, to really complete the scan, you want somebody to stand still, or you want the object to stay still while you're scanning. So a lot of scanners will have cables and power cables. This is nice with the Leo because it's so small and flexible, and yet it has such a high resolution. It's also much faster than all of the competition. I do encourage you to try other scanners because they're different price points. And you really get what you pay for with this.
And that was 27 seconds. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not bad. So here is the object that I scanned. Now I can look at it with the texture or the scan color or as a point cloud. the software will show me just the rough preview of the model. I can actually look at the individual scans. So my very first scan had just the top part of it and the back of it's missing. But as you can see, all three scans are already aligned. There's really no need for alignment. There are alignment tools where you can have the software automatically align multiple scans. Let's say you forgot to scan something on this part. You can always go back and add another scan. You can bring it into this project, you can align that and remesh it. So what Artec Studio does is holds that raw scan data. And then what it does is gives you a common file type, like an STL or an OBJ or a PLY or whatever you'd like. 3D printing world, STLs are very common. So this, again, still we're looking at the raw scan data. I've got this tool that's called the Autopilot. It helps me run through a couple questions and get this triangulated. So first it asks me like what size object this is. Do I want a watertight model? I'll say yes, I want the watertight model. Do I want to keep the texture in, the color information? For 3D printing applications, I don't need it, so I'll uncheck that box. It also asks, do you want to set a specific resolution or leave it on auto or a polygon count? So I'll just leave it all on auto, but if you want to have a really, really high resolution model, you can put that number up higher. And then the polygon count is the decimation step. So it's like a second step of like, okay, we got our high resolution model, but now we need to share it with someone and it's too big because it's like a gigabyte because it's got so many points in it. I want it to be like 2 megabytes. So you can go from a couple million polygons to just like 1,000. And so you can type that number in here and it'll do that step. But you can make as many versions of these meshes as you'd like because you still have your raw scan data. So you don't lose any of that. I know I've had a few cheaper scanners in the past where like you make a scan and you like bake it in and then you can't go back and re-render it. But with this one, you always have that information. All right, so after I've answered some of these questions, this is the amount of time it would take to process it. So probably just a few minutes for a small part like this. Now, time will vary for scanning and processing. This is a small object, very simple workflow. I'm just clicking a few buttons here and it's going through and giving me the model that I want. I don't want the texture, I want it to just have the auto settings on, so it's gonna run through and give me a nice looking model quickly. But if I'm going to scan like a car, I will need to break up that scan a little bit because your scanner, the RAM on it will start to fill up a little bit, it'll start to lag. So what I normally recommend for like something that's really large, like tractor or something, I would scan it in sections. So I'd scan like the front of it, the back of it, and then I can align it in the software.
So quarter it out or part it out?
Because there are limitations of this scanner in terms of like it's gonna start running out of memory. And that happens when you're scanning like really big things. But your computer, it's got better graphics card, much more power in it, and so when you break it up in a couple scans, as long as there's overlapping information, we recommend at least 10% in the scans between one scan and the other. It can still very accurately recreate that model.
So if we were doing like say a weird custom, I can't think of the name of the movie. Going with Tina Turner and where they had the weird semi with all the cool stuff on it. If we were scanning something like that, you just put like an orange piece of tape and just scan past that and then go before that scan, so you'd have an overlap there. So you could be able to get the full, guarantee you're getting the full thing in.
Yeah, you can always preview what you've already scanned on your scanner. So, if I'm scanning a car, I'll just like make sure I just overlap the scans. I got plenty of overlap.
You don't have to mark it, you just know.
Yeah, you just can see it in the scanner. So it's a very easy workflow. So now we've got our model, and now if we want, we can just go File, Export, choose a file type as a mesh, and there's STL, PLY here, OBJ, a bunch of others that I don't use. This one, if I click on the new model that I've created, it just, on the auto settings, it gave me 500,000 polygons for this mesh. 500,000 polygons, and this is standard with all of your software. An SDL with 500,000 polygons, this is estimating it to be about 23 megabytes, you know. So if you need a bigger file, smaller file, you can get it. This scanner, of course, will go and usually creates a model into millions of polygons, and most people just can't deal with that. They don't need that high resolution of a mesh, but you need the detail. So if you start with a low resolution model, you can't ever get that detail back. With the Artec scanners, is you're over scanning, you're capturing everything and all of those little details, and then you're choosing to export one version for like 3D printing that's going to be more low poly, another version for archiving to where you can do all the creative artistic things you'd like. Yeah, so basically that's the quick demo of the Artec Leo. If you're interested in a demo like on site or online for something specific, you can reach out to us at gomeasure3d.com, number 3, letter D. And we're located in Richmond. We've got a few people in Ohio and Wyoming as well. And thanks for watching.
Now I challenged him to scan the skull can.
So we're using a different scanner here.
And what's this one called?
This is the EVA. This is the predecessor to the Leo. This is the older scanner. It has a cheaper, a lower price point, but it is tethered to the computer and a power cable. But it does have the same resolution and accuracy as the Leo. So because Artec is a really great software company, they're able to use the new NVIDIA cards and some AI algorithms to reconstruct the model as accurately as that one can. So it's connected to my computer. All I gotta do is, it's obviously a little bit more awkward being tethered to a computer, but I'll start the scan here.
And that one was to come with a seizure warning.
Alright, it's done. So it just takes, 20 seconds to scan something this simple. And what I got here is, let's see if we look at the wireframe. I need to run it through a couple of algorithms to be able to reconstruct it, but another scanner that is really good for something that's smaller is the Spider. So this is one of the most popular scanners.
And that's the one I was excited about.
Yeah, this is the one that you want for anything that's smaller, that doesn't require you to have the flexibility of the Leo. Because this picks up a much higher resolution. And think of this as kind of like a microscope or as like a macro lens in photography.
And this is the one you said that'd be good for bullion and coins and stuff
Yes,
like that.
Yes. So I'm actually going to probably use a turntable for this one just so I can kind of rotate.
Okay.
Um,
Well, do you have a cord?
This one, same.
That flashy one as well?
It's a blue light.
Oh, that blue light's okay then.
It's a little bit better, yeah.
And what's the price point on this Spider?
It's about 20. So it is more expensive than.
And right now with the summer program, they got 5,000 off if you turn in and trade in an old or other 3D scanner, regardless of the value or price.
Yes, and that $5,000 off is for the Leo only.
Oh, for the Leo only.
Yeah.
And that's at Go Measure 3D. So he's racing the background. He's taking away the turntable, and you can actually see the depth of the can in that scan.
Yeah, so when you scan something with any of the other scanners, unlike the Leo, other scanners will always capture everything you point the scanner to. So I captured that turntable. So I need to now quickly erase it. All I have to do is just brush over this flat area. And the software, Artec software, is really smart. It can create a cutting plane. So it's just going to erase everything below, as you can see, this can. So I'll hit erase and it's all gone.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then I can run it through a noise removal. So you'll see that all of this noise floating around is going to disappear. And then after that, I'll run a triangulation, and that will complete our model. So all in all, for something this size, probably just a couple of minutes of scanning and processing together.
Now you can see the skull. Oh, there you go. You can see it.
Yep.
And that's as good as it looks on the can.
You can even see the text.
The warning,
The
this
warning.
product, that is wicked cool.
So I can change the color, of course, of this model. This is just for visualization purposes for the 3D model. Now, if I want to get the color information back in there, I can run another algorithm and map the texture. So that those color photographs that are also captured alongside of the 3D geometry.
Now, is this the same as the other one where you flip it over and you scan it and it ties all the sides in together? And
You can do that, but it takes more steps. So the Leo does that on the screen. If you saw the earlier video, the Leo holds in its memory this object that I'm scanning, and it's also cutting away the table as I'm scanning it. That's the new scanner. That's the new generation. That's the Leo. The Spider and the Eva from Artec, these scanners have been around for at least 5 years, and this is an older technology. It takes a little bit more work when you're apart. You've got to scan it, erase the background, scan it again, erase the background, take those two sides, put them together in the software, and then run the algorithm together. None of that's required with the Leo because
then you have to assign the width.
no, with the overlapping information, because you've scanned on both of those scans, you have that text.
Okay.
It's able to match it based on the texture, and so you don't need to tell it the width because that's the power of Artec software. Yeah, so with maybe others that you've used before, you need to do that, but not here. It's able to look at geometry and texture for that quality alignment, and that's where you get that sub-millimeter accuracy.
And the ones that I had used, when you edited, you actually had to measure with a micrometer, measure the coin with a micrometer, or measure the items with, and then go into the computer and make sure, if you wanted an exact replica, you had to go in and make sure that the width and the measurements were the exact same. It would get the scan of the image, but you had to set the width, height, and depth. But this is cool that it does it for you. Now, when you adjust the size, does it adjust all sizes equally? Is there when you lock the image, so say it adjusts the image,